Welcome, all you beautiful souls. We are Kat and Ash of Empathetic Villains, and we are here to share our personal thoughts and opinions about our healing journeys with you and all of the things that we've learned along the way. Hello.
Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Sit down, pull up a chair. Let's hang out.
You don't pull up your cozy chair, you just
Plop
sit in it. You plop in it and you chillax.
and you grab a blanket and
Is that a 90s word? Chillax? Do we still use that
probably,
word?
I don't know. I can't even keep up with I thought I was pretty hip and cool still, but it has been brought to my attention that is incorrect.
Talk to my nephew for a second.
I know. I
And
had no idea what he was talking about 2 weekends ago.
did he talk to you when we were up north?
I mean, just like when he was talking to your
Oh.
sister and stuff.
Bruh.
The bruh thing. My kids do that all the time.
They actually don't say bruh a lot.
No, my kids do that all the time. Mom, bruh. What's up?
I forget what he says. I don't know.
I don't know. My kids were trying to tell me the difference between like no cap and like that's cap. I guess they're two different things. Like one's like that's good. I don't know. I didn't.
No diggity, no doubt.
I don't have any clue. And I like try to watch TikTok and figure out what everyone's talking about. And I still,
No, because then you get hit with British slang and all these other country slang words, and then you don't know what's going
I
on.
already don't know what's going on.
When I was reading my book, I read a lot of like British books. I don't know what's going on.
But why?
I don't know. Those are the ones I tend to like read. I don't know.
Okay, fair enough. I didn't know if there was a specific reason.
No,
No.
they just happen to trigger my fancy.
Oh, there you go. Perfect. I won't question you anymore on it.
I'm gonna throw some British slang at you.
Please.
And I'm in love with Ed Sheeran.
You can
So
say much worse words in other places than America in some
oh,
circumstances.
correct.
Like it's
But
a,
they sound pleasant.
but it's like a everyday word for them, and we're like, oh my god, if you ever call a woman that is not good. You're like,
Oh yeah.
that's so,
British words, they like to use the C word all
yep.
the time.
Mm-hmm.
Where we use the B word.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Which is funny that we're even talking about swearing because I have the most foul mouth on the planet, like terrible. And the fact that I have not sworn once so far is a miracle.
I gave you a task and you're doing wonderfully at it.
I'm like hyper fixated on coming up with new words so I'm not swearing because you
So proud of you.
thank you. It's in honor of you. So
I'm just not one that likes to listen to like a little light swearing here and there. I'm fine with, but
Ash.
I've tried to listen to podcasts where like just every other word is a swear, and I'm like, can we get through a sentence, people?
Like if you have some good placed swear words, that's cool. Like
Right,
that's
but it doesn't.
great.
They don't need to enhance everything.
Correct. I mean, in my personal life, when I'm not around my children, I probably still use potty words way too much, but
Only a few,
only a few very bad ones.
but not like you don't like drop a whole like in 2 minutes. You don't like swear up a storm.
No.
Like it's just every once in a while. You lightly sprinkle them into conversation.
I just I don't I don't know.
Maybe you're different with someone else.
Probably with Michelle. I probably swear way more with her. Um But, like, they're just words, it depends how you're using them, right? Like, I
Right,
understand.
I'm not like offended
No,
by them. I'm just
I understand, like, words hurt too, but also,
unnecessary.
like, I don't think it's if you throw a spicy word in there in a paragraph when you're talking, it shouldn't be the end of the world and, like, the world's gonna blow
No,
up
but
because someone said a bad word
I
describing
just
something
like
that has nothing to do with me.
real sentences.
Right. But that is
I like to use
something
my vocabulary.
that is something I am actively thinking about the whole time I'm talking on the podcast. So just know if there are pauses or if there are stutters, it might be because I'm trying not to swear. Um,
Mine are just brain lapses.
it's
So
okay. That happens too. You got to reboot every once in a while. I get it.
right. My brain has to catch up with my mouth.
Totally fine.
Or my mouth has to catch up with my
Well,
brain.
that's the other thing. I'm trying to talk slower because in real life I talk very fast.
Right.
And I'm trying to like also tell myself talk a little bit slower. You're
We're
always
not
going.
reading. We can talk fast.
I
We're not
know,
reading.
but I feel like people are gonna be like, "Oh my
We're
gosh,
not
she
giving a
talks so fast.
speech. It's fine.
You're not using note cards. It's okay."
Our speech doesn't have to be 5 minutes.
Oh my gosh, I love it.
Can you tell we're traumatized?
By public school. No, just by I'm
Hey,
just gonna
dude,
leave it.
imagine trying to speak for 5 minutes in French. That's the hardest 5 minutes of my life. And I still don't know how to speak French. And I did that for 3 years.
That's how I feel about Spanish. Like,
Oh,
I know kind of how to speak some of it, but the stuff we learned like did not retain any of it and it was not applicable to real life
the
situations.
stuff that I retained was the stuff that we learned over and over again from kindergarten to sixth
Correct.
grade.
Correct.
Once we started trying to write it, and I think that's what messed me up because they spent so much time like trying to conjugate everything that I wasn't really thinking about speaking it. I'm just trying to get the writing correct.
Yeah, 100% agree. Totally.
Fail.
Um,
Total fail.
I
I digress.
digress. This is probably going to be more what intros are going to be like going forward because Kathy and I tried to really rein it in the last couple ones, but this is
So sorry.
we were talking on here for like 30 minutes before we even started the podcast because we were just chit chatting away. Um, but so I want to tell you guys one story that made me laugh very hard today about my husband. And then today's episode, we are going to talk about emotions. So my husband was talking to me after I got home from work today, and he plays hockey, and he's telling me about the hockey rink he played at last night because I haven't seen him since last night. And he's telling me about it, and he's like, "Okay, this hockey rink, the penalty box is connected to the bench. So where it is," and I look at my husband and I go, "Andy, where did you propose to me?" And he's like, "At the hockey rink." And I was like, "Yeah, where?" And he's like, "In the penalty box." I was like, "Cool, definitely know what you're talking about." And he's like, "I totally forgot about that."
Oh, I didn't know that story.
He took me ice skating.
Oh.
I totally knew he was gonna propose. I told my coworker, I was like, "He's gonna propose." He's not very good at keeping surprises. And I just like he was acting really weird. I knew he was gonna propose, and then it got like 2 hours into it. Like, we were there
You
for
were ice skating for 2
2
hours?
hours, and
That sounds like
I
torture.
texted my coworker, I'm like, "Never mind, I guess not." And then he
Oh.
finally did it. He pretended we had to go to the penalty box so he could tie his skate real quick. And
Of
then
all the places you had to sit with, there was the penalty box?
I guess
So your marriage started out in a timeout?
it
Is that
did,
what you're
it
telling me?
did. Andy also spends plenty of time in timeouts when he plays hockey, so
Well, it's good he gets aggression out on the ice.
it's true. I just oh my gosh, that made me laugh so hard. It's like, "Yeah." He's like, "That was 15 years ago." I'm like, "Yeah, but that was, like, a special thing. I don't like, how do you forget about that?"
You don't forget your proposal. Like, no matter how spectacular or how boring it is, I'm pretty sure that's not something you forget. I mean, the date maybe, but it's the actual event, no.
He's my special boy.
Oh,
Oh gosh.
God love him.
I know. He's adorable. I forgot what the story was that I was gonna tell, like, you told me a couple hours ago, and I before I came in here, before we went to the store, I was like, "Hey, what was that story I was gonna tell?" And he's like, "Mm-mm, I remember what it is, but I am not telling you." And I was like, "No,
Aw,
come on, what was it?" So right before he left, he was like reminded me of it.
what a nice boy. Good job.
He's all right. He'll do. He'll do.
We'll keep him.
We'll keep him for a little bit. He's a pretty good dad. We'll keep him around. The kids are attached to him. I mean, you know.
You're pretty attached to him as well.
Yeah, it's true. It is very true. Uh,
Anyway, moving
anyway,
on.
so emotions. I kind of wanted to talk about this our first episode, but I was very raw in the emotions and feels of a personal situation I was going through. So it's probably good that we didn't do it right away because I probably would have lost my mind. But I saw this quote the other day and I sent it to Kathy because I think it's a great quote. And it is, "I don't know what it is like to not have deep emotions. Even when I feel nothing, I feel it completely." That's by Sylvia Plath. And I think that's so true for you and me as people. I'm a all or nothing type person. I either love you fully or I'm out. Um I'm either upset about something or I can let it go. Like,
I've gotten to the point where, yeah, if it's important to me, I feel it completely.
mhm.
And when I connect with people, I connect with them usually completely. But I'm also good at like more professional relationships
Mhm.
as far as um I guess I don't know how to explain it, but like my brain like categorizes people, and like I think we talked about this last time. If you're not putting in that effort, you're not going above and beyond. I'm totally fine leaving it at the door,
Yeah.
and I can be friendly, social, um acquaintances, act like we can act like friends. Totally fine with that. But I'm not going to give that extra emotion.
Mhm.
I'm not going to feel that extra emotion towards it.
I'm
But in the
not like that.
same
I am a very emotional person and I'm a very dramatic person and I am very aware of
what?
this. I'm
Who?
incredibly aware of it. Very self-aware. I'm a lot. I am a lot. And
In a little
I
body.
know I appreciate everyone in my life so much for putting up with me the last however many years. You guys are real. You're the real ones.
You're a
You're
gem.
gems of people. But I've always been a very emotional person. Like, I remember being a teenager and being super emotional about things, and I tend to not know how to express my emotions correctly, um, because I try to keep them bottled up, and then it just gets to the point that it's boiling over. Like, I don't know all the time how to work through my emotions. Um,
Same.
I think part of that I'm starting to learn, a huge part of that is just being overstimulated because now I can kind of start to see like triggers and start to feel when I'm gonna blow my top and can kind of like diffuse the situation inside of myself. But you have to be able to recognize the triggers, and you're not gonna be perfect every time, but I think a lot of mine is overstimulation. If there's a bunch of people talking in the room and I can't focus on one thing, and then the dog's barking, and then the phone's ringing, and then the TV's on, and the kids, I
Did you get a dog I don't know about?
no, that
Oh,
was an example. Yes, I've been hiding a dog from you for years. I don't think I'd
dang
have any
you.
friends left if I was hiding a dog from you people.
Good luck with that.
Um, no, I'm just saying you guys would never talk to me again if I've had a dog this whole time and you guys
Oh,
haven't been
for
able to pet
sure.
it. Yeah.
For sure.
But
100%.
I tend to have those, like being overstimulated by stuff is the thing that sets me over the edge. So I've bottled up all my stuff all day or whatever it is. And then my husband asking me a question, a simple question, is the thing that pushes me over the edge because I'm already just pushed to the limit. Right. And so, one thing with that, with having big emotions like that and holding things in, um, I need to get very, very much better at controlling those things when I know they're coming because I don't like the person I am when I get to that point. I don't like my brain doesn't work in that moment. I just think,
So you're talking, just so everyone's clear, you're talking about like more angry emotions,
yeah,
not
well, kind of like the original emotion isn't necessarily anger. You know what I'm saying? So it could be like hurt or sadness from that day. And then
right.
it turns into anger because you're bottling it up. You're not talking about it and you lash out. So, like, that's something that I have been working on for a long time. And you can ask Andy. I like freaked out on him the one day because he didn't wash the right pan. I was also changing medications. Okay. It was a rough time. Um, but I got done yelling at him and I looked at him and I was just like, "That was so bad. Why did I do that? That was so mean. Like, I'm really sorry about that. That was not cool. Like, that was a complete overreaction. That was awful. That was like, I don't want to be the kind of person that says things I don't mean in the heat of the moment." So I think like the whole emotional part of anger, wherever that comes from, it doesn't I don't think it necessarily has to originate in a place of anger.
Oh, for sure.
I think that a lot of times it's misplaced as anger because of other things you're feeling.
Right.
You get to that point you just cannot deal with it anymore. And I really want to try working very hard on having that not come out as anger and figuring out what the right tools to like control those emotions and place them where
I
they
feel
need to
you.
be and not in other categories. Um, so that's just for me. If I feel something, if I'm happy, I'm really happy. If I'm depressed, I'm really depressed. If I'm angry, I'm probably really angry. If, you know, I'm sad, I'm probably bawling in a corner in a puddle. Um, I just,
Emotions are hard, man.
they are. And I feel like I feel them so completely when I feel them. And it's hard when you're an emotional person because you're not always in control of like what's going on. So for instance, like if I am frustrated and I don't feel like I can get my point across or I'm not being heard and I need to get something through to someone, I will cry.
That's exactly what I was gonna say. That's how I
I
am.
will
I'm
cry.
more of the crier
Yep.
versus the get mad. Like, I don't get angry like that. And I think just growing up how I did, we didn't really show a lot of emotion.
Yeah.
And I think that plays a big role in how people learn to cope with things. Whereas I learned just to hold it all in. But then when you hold it in for so long, and like you said, not being heard or not being understood, it just that's a trigger. So like I am a big crier. Like if I start talking about things, like my eyes will tear up and I'll cry. And some people can't handle those emotions. Like if they're talking to someone, they get really uncomfortable and they're like, why are you being so emotional? Like putting that blame on you and making you feel even worse. So that triggers your guilt and that triggers, like, it's just a domino effect. So the in essence, it's making it worse and you're crying more because you're like, "I don't know why I'm crying. I'm just trying to talk to you."
A
Like,
100%, 100%. And the biggest thing that makes me so angry about the crying thing is A, you can't control it, right? It is involuntary. Somebody is yelling at you, or you feel like they're yelling at you, or attacking you, or not hearing you. It is involuntary. It happens. I have no control over it. And the more you try to control it, the worse it gets.
Right. Or if
And,
they're even just coming at you in a different tone than you're used to,
right.
I think our brains, because you and I are alike, like it triggers in our brain, like, oh, I've heard this tone before, and usually it means I'm in trouble. Like when somebody says, "Can you come to my office?"
You're like, no, what did I do
Like, what?
wrong?
Right? What did I do? So, like, our emotions are already high. We're already in that fight or flight.
Mhm.
Like, we're already like amped up. So then, like, my eyes water all the time just having normal conversations. And I'm sorry if you talk to me, my eyes are watering. I can't control it.
Well, and my biggest issue with that, and what I've hated for years, is that's somehow a sign of weakness to people. If you can't handle someone yelling at you, how are you going to make it in the real world? Excuse me. I'm sorry if I don't want someone to talk to me like I'm not a human, or I am a complete moron, or whatever it is. Like, that's a really broad statement to make, that you're not going to make it because somebody else isn't controlling their emotions and is yelling at you, or whatever it is, right?
Well, yeah, because you and I both know, like, we know how much, like, how hard we're working or how much time we and effort we put into
Right.
something, like thinking about it, overthinking it. Like, we've thought about it a thousand different ways, and we're only giving you one way. And now you're saying that it's wrong, or you're
Mhm.
saying it's not good enough, or like, so we're taking it very
Well,
personally.
and I think that's a super good point, because it it doesn't always feel like constructive criticism to us,
Right,
right? Sometimes it feels like a full-on attack. And I think that's what I was kind of talking about with the friend last week, that didn't understand, like, in the moment I couldn't hear that criticism, right? Like, those things sometimes in that moment or whatever do feel like a personal attack on you, and then that triggers all of those emotions. Someone's yelling at me,
right,
that sort of thing. So it's not necessarily that someone's actually like screaming at you or
right.
whatever, but when it triggers that feeling,
Like, "Oh, I've disappointed someone,"
yeah.
or, "Oh, I let someone down," or, "Oh, they were expecting this and I gave them that." Even though they're super happy with it, you like, being empathetic like we are, we're feeling that undertone of, like, "Oh, I should have done it differently." Even though that person is completely content, they're completely happy,
Mhm.
everything's fine, like, in our heads, we're just replaying. And that's totally, I think, our ADD brains. Like, we're just hyper fixating on what we could have done better to make that person happier.
I am just sitting here in awe of you, because that's like literally my brain all the time. Like, even though I know I did it right, and I know that I did it in the best way possible, like, I have done that better?
Right.
Could I have gone
And
above and beyond
right. And
the
like
above
for
and beyond
me,
I've already done?
well, yeah, like for me, like I can take criticism. I can like I like owning, like if I did something wrong, tell me. Like, I'm beyond not perfect, and I don't like, but come to me in a way that's helpful, not accusatory. Like, if you come to me and like, "Well, you did this wrong." Okay, cool. But can you tell me what's wrong with it, and can you tell me what you wanted versus just saying, "Well, this is wrong, fix it."
It's a huge, like, communication thing, I think, and it's kind of baffling that we as humans are pretty advanced creatures, but we haven't been able to figure out, like, people are
Basic
different than us.
kindness.
Everyone processes emotions differently. We're not all the same. We have learned so much over the years about how everyone is so different. And
Right.
I'm not saying to make it I I need you to make accommodations for me. I'm just saying, like,
Just be
don't
kinder.
think I'm a big baby because I'm crying because you're screaming at me. You don't know
Right.
what
You don't
that
need to scream at people to get your point
right.
across.
So I just don't think it's appropriate. If you do and you are able to apologize for it and you realize that you lost control of your emotions, I feel like that's a huge thing.
Right.
Because like I said, I'm never going to not yell, right?
Right.
Everyone yells every once in a while, even if they're perfect
I
in our
don't
eyes.
yell.
Whatever. Kathy's just perfect.
No, I mean, I
No, you're very good at when it comes to like anger, I feel like you're very good at controlling those emotions.
I've over the years I've gotten better at it because when I was younger, there was someone in my house that yelled a lot, and that's where I learned to be quiet, and I was a little sassy because spicy brain. I'm not going to sit there and take it. Um, so, but when you come from growing up with someone that expresses their emotions by yelling, it is hard to regulate um how to go about communicating. Like, so I learned at a young age to, when someone's yelling, to just be quiet and hold it in. So that triggers that inside of me, that triggers me where I just freeze. But then if I'm talking to someone later on, it could be something completely different. Those emotions come up. And it's like I always try to tell you, I'm like, it's good to have big emotions. You feel them. It might not have anything to do with what you're doing at that moment, at that time. Like, we're working through things, especially when you've accepted your healing journey and you've accepted that you want to change. Like, feelings just come out of nowhere. Like, you could see a color, you could see a smell. Like, and this is what I've learned working with my healer. Like, I'm like, what is like, why am I upset? Like, what is happening? And it's just things processing in your body and releasing and moving forward. Sometimes you don't have to know exactly like what is releasing, but that is your body trying to regulate itself. Like, tears are your stress hormones, like trying to regulate. So,
Hang on.
uh-oh.
We're going to have to somehow cut this because you are breaking in and out.
Oh, fantastic.
So I don't know if you need to go somewhere else or
Go anywhere else.
okay, well let's see if we can you're completely frozen on my screen. Oh, okay, now you're back. Somehow I'm going to have to cut that out. I don't know. Unless I decide not to cut it out and then hi, welcome to us.
But you were frozen before. So
I didn't want to interrupt you because I was very interested in what you were saying, but I was like, how do I tell her that we're frozen?
raise your hand politely.
I was like, I put one finger up, but
I didn't
we
see
were
that.
frozen. So, I don't know. Maybe we'll leave that in. Anyways, um,
Moving on.
so yeah, one of those things, you know, for me, if I'm upset about something, if even if it's a minor inconvenience, I got an email that at work that like somebody was really rude to me or like stuff like that. I have to talk about them. I have to have it come out of my mouth what it is that is bothering me in order for me to get over it. Like that is just something with me. I need to just be like, "Oh my gosh, this person just sent me an email and I cannot believe they said this." And then it's out of my mouth, it's out of my head. It doesn't exist anymore, right? For the most part. Um So, like, stuff like that, I need to figure out the right balance of that because I I I work in an industry with all men, and
It's
I
hard.
it's hard. I don't have any girls to, like, talk to or gossip with, and it's not necessarily gossip, like, I don't have anyone at my current job that I can just be like, "Oh my gosh,
Confide in.
yeah, this happened and it was ridiculous." Like, be I don't know if it's just where I'm at or because I'm a woman or whatever it is. I'm not, like, placing blame on anything specifically, but, like, if I'm complaining about something or need to get it off my chest like that, then I'm just being a whiny baby or I'm just, a chick complaining again or whatever it is. Again, this is very broad thing we're talking about here. Not everyone is like this. I just
No. But I think you and I have worked in industries that are very male oriented, where they expect us to be the secretary, the office manager that like does everything and can anticipate your every need and read your mind.
oh man, you are like hardcore cutting in and out. Hello?
Hello?
Are you able to like move closer to a router or something or will that not help?
Close and close to my router.
What the
It's not
frick?
my internet.
Your internet blows.
Or it could be yours.
Could be. Um, well, I guess we're learning how to edit for tonight's episode, girl. Um, so I don't even remember what we were talking about.
Male dominated
Oh,
workforce
yes.
and how they expect us to read their mind. They expect us basically to do things that a woman in the house would do, but also do our jobs, but also I'm not your mother. Like you can't have everything at the same time.
It's super hard. I don't know. It's hard. I I have big emotions. I need to talk things out. That's just who I am as a
Well,
person.
and I think though it's intimidating sometimes for like people that have not just men, because women can have that mindset too. Like I've also had very strong um female bosses that don't know how to deal with emotions. And that can be really hard in the workplace.
Are you still there? You broke up for a second. Um, oh my god, this is gonna be a disaster.
You said that the last time, and then you're like, I didn't hear anything in the middle.
Oh my gosh. So yeah, the whole like thing too, and yeah, again, this is stereotypical, but I feel like it's kind of true. Like men for a very long time were kind of taught emotions were bad and you're a guy, you got to be big and strong and whatever. So I think like some of these things get lost in translation because, you know, men were taught to be big and strong and, take on everything. And, women are typically, these are all stereotypical things, but women tend to be more like gentle and nurturing and all that sort of thing. And like, I think a bunch of that has just gotten lost in translation over, years of male dominated industries or whatever it may be, but men are told that emotion is weakness. And so they're already having that go on in their brain that thinking I can't show emotion because that's weak. So then anyone else shows emotion and it's seen as weak. And it drives me nuts because I don't think that having emotions or anything like that makes you weak. I think everyone has emotions. And if you're not getting them out in some way, then you're probably taking them out in a bad way that's self destructive.
Well, right. But also, Like, the counterpoint of that is knowing how and when to express your emotions correctly in the situation. So it doesn't make you weak to have emotions, but the time and place sometimes is where it gets a
little dicey.
sketchy, a little
Well,
dicey.
not only that, but like it's you're either on one of the two sides, right? You're the person
Right,
that's being emotional or you're the person dealing with the emotional
right,
person. And like trying to figure out how to do those things and still be like respectful and knowing, like you said, how to control your emotions and which ones are normal to have in specific circumstances and like what is a way to talk yourself down or whatever it is, right? Like it's important to be able to control
where
some emotions and there are some things that we just cannot control.
right, and no, yeah, no, definitely
I
knowing
got hang on.
tools.
I got none of that.
I didn't say anything.
What you were starting to talk, it was just breaking up.
It's because you're freezing.
You're freezing.
I think it's your internet.
It's not my internet. It's your internet. My internet
Tell your children to stop playing their games.
has mom's podcasting. Get off them Minecraft games. How much you want to bet this stays in the podcast because I'm not going to be able to figure out how to edit it out. Like if you would guess on a scale of 1 to 10, 10
We're
being
only at 30 minutes.
like, I know what is happening. Oh my gosh. Good times, good times.
Welcome to our show.
Welcome to our brains. Um,
I saged before we started. It's
good.
not my fault.
Does that thing like transfer through our microphones to each other or
Maybe you need to whip out your sage.
it's sitting on my desk? I could do that. So back to emotions. Um, so another part of the whole emotion thing is when we choose to not show emotions that we should be showing. So when you're guarded and you should be, letting down your guard, or you should, you love someone, but you can't tell them you love them. Michelle. um,
Oh,
and all of those things, like
she's growing.
she's growing. I'm so proud of her. She's a darling girl.
We're so proud of her growth.
I know. She's so cute. So, yeah, so me and one of my other friends, like we don't I love you, we don't hug. Like she's not a hugger, she's not an I love you. I'm not saying any of that stuff's a bad thing. But sometimes we're doing those things because we don't want to feel the feelings that come along with those things. And if you don't feel those things, if you don't say I love you back, I
I
love
say
you
it back all the
back,
time.
then like you're going to get hurt, right? So you protect those things. And so another thing to kind of think about is like, are you not being your authentic self because you're protecting parts of you that, it's affecting you in some other way because you're too busy protecting, I don't want to get hurt, I don't want to get disappointed, I don't, whatever it may be. And just realizing like when those things are ruining your ability to have relationships, for example, if that gets you in so deep that you are unable to have a relationship because you can't open up at all, that's not healthy. So emotions are tricky, man. They're hard. You're either
They're
feeling too
hard.
much or not
Feelings
enough.
are hard.
They're so hard. I
Well, see, and then like, if I talk to you, because of how I grew up where we didn't show a lot of emotion, like, so, like, when you're really upset and you're crying, I honestly, like, in my brain, I kind of know what to say, but part of me is, like,
Now
uncomfortable.
is this me specific or like just in
No,
general?
sorry, just in general.
I just
Like,
wasn't
when
sure if you like changed what you do because I'm so special to you.
no, like, when you're sad, I try to, Like, I try to make people happy when they're sad because I'm feeling your sadness too, and 2 of us crying is not a
It's
good
not gonna do anyone any good.
right. We're not gonna sit there eating our ice cream being sad. Like, I'm gonna try and make you happy, and I'm gonna try and get your mind off it because I know what it's like to sit there and wallow in sadness, but I'm also gonna tell you it's okay to cry. It's okay to have those emotions, but we're gonna have fun doing it.
I think that's big too. It's like breaking that tension when it comes you're very good at that, let me just tell you. You've got that perfected to an art. Um, chef's
Trauma humor. It's my trauma humor.
but, like, you know who you can use that with, you know who you can't. Um, but it's just funny how weird emotions are and how many different ways they come out, and, like we said from day 1, this is kinda just, like, bridging the gap between, like, everything, whatever topics we talk about, not being too emotional, but not being emotionless.
Right.
Where's the middle ground there? Where's the place that you still find compassion for people and empathy, um, but you can still be
Understanding,
a
communication.
bad bee? See? Look, I caught myself. I almost said a
Good job.
different word, but why can't you be,
HBIC?
yes, a girl boss?
Correct.
Why can't you also, why can't you cry a little bit and still be a CEO? That makes no sense to me. Like, you can't show emotions, you can't prove that you're a
Sometimes we have to
human.
close the door and cry and get it over with, and
I
you'll
just
be
like
fine.
emotions, it's part of being a human. So
Right.
you're judged because of, again, like we said, there's extremes either way, motionless to emotional. But, like, for the most part, like, yeah, people are gonna have bad days sometimes. People are gonna get angry sometimes. People are gonna cry sometimes. It's gonna happen. And my whole life, I have hated being told that because I'm crying, I'm weak. I would argue I'm a lot stronger than a lot of other people I know. But yes, I still cry. And I also don't think it's healthy though to get to a point where you never cry anymore and everything you just
You
I
can't just turn your emotions off,
you
like, that's not
can't.
healthy.
You can't. And I've tried to I feel like the more you try, the more it just comes out. Like, I try so hard if I'm in this.
Because then then you're in your head, and you're feeling guilty,
Correct.
and it's just an ongoing cycle.
Correct. So, like, if I'm getting yelled at for something, like, I've already stuck on to the first thing you said to me, and we're just adding to that loop that's going on in my head. And
Right,
it doesn't mean if you like, maybe you didn't mean it a specific way, but if it's already going on in that loop in my head, everything that comes after it is just gonna make it worse, and I'm gonna cry. It's gonna happen. I'm sorry. And I am kind of sick of apologizing for it.
right. Yeah, and I think building up your toolbox of knowing
Did you just
how to walk away and knowing, "Hey, that was good advice. Let me think on it," or, "Hey, I just need a moment to think this through and I'll get back to you." Like, being able to take yourself out of the situation and breathe and think.
This is why I shouldn't have pens over here.
Yeah, who gave you writing
I
utensils?
was also playing with my notepad earlier, and I was like, "Oh, I gotta
I
start."
rock.
That's so smart. I should have a rock. I
Well, yeah, so there's another tool. Like, just having a worry stone or just having something in your hand, rubbing your fingers like that. Actually, there's pressure points between your thumb and your, is this your index finger? If you rub them together, um, it's actually supposed to help calm your nerves. And I do it a lot, and I never realized what it was, and then I read an article on it.
I thought this was
Or
just the world's smallest violin.
yes, the world's my, or another good calming technique is placing your hand over your heart, like just giving yourself a hug, and that It helps your stress
I
levels.
do that a lot and I don't realize I'm doing it.
Right.
But
Yeah, that's a regulatory kind of like weighted blankets or weighted stuffed animals. Just having that pressure on your nervous system is going to help bring you back.
I look like a 3-year-old just like so interested in what you're saying right now, all in my husband's sweatshirt.
Steal this sweatshirt.
I did. I was like, "Can I steal your sweatshirt for while I'm
Does anyone have
podcasting?"
sweatshirts I can steal?
I can steal you one, just don't tell him
I
about
don't
it.
want his sweatshirt. That's weird.
He's also like tinier than I am, so
Correct.
yeah.
But that's weird. Why
It's not even fun to wear his sweatshirts half the time because they're like super tight on me.
Well, I think like you're kind of the same size, except you have boobs and he doesn't.
That's
He's just
correct.
flat.
Correct. Do you want to hear a funny story?
Oh gosh.
I
Derail.
should tell this story, never mind. But anyways, the sweatshirt, I was like, "Can I wear this?" Because I don't know, I just wanted to wear a sweatshirt, and he's
He's
like,
your husband. It's allowed. It's the husband tax.
"Well," so then I was like,
Boyfriend tax.
it's a band sweatshirt of his favorite band, and I started singing one of the songs that they sing, and he goes, "I swear to you, if you butcher one of their songs on the podcast because you talk about my sweatshirt, I'm gonna lose it." And I was like, "Okay,
Why does he know us so well?
first of all, I have a beautiful voice, so that was rude,
Like an angel.
like an angel. And second of all, I would have totally done that. I feel called out. I feel personally attacked. Thank you for your sweatshirt. We'll see you later. Goodbye."
Well, now that you told me not to do it, I'm gonna do.
Ooh, that's a good point though. Like if you challenge me, remember the time my dad challenged me to buy him a Sasquatch tailgate cover?
I believe I instigated that, and I don't apologize at all.
You instigated it, and we're gonna talk about it real quick. So, last year, my dad has this Sasquatch thing going on, right? He's a
Everybody loves Sasquatch. Come on.
He loved it before it was cool, though.
It's not been cool.
It's
It's just
not been cool. Avi.
more people are buying into the paranormal. Get with the
Oh
program.
my gosh, we cannot go here again tonight. You terrified me last night. I cannot do it with you again.
I starved
Cannot.
you.
Don't
Sorry.
say anything.
Sitting here nicely.
No, you're not.
Bigfoot. Anyways, moving back
Anyways,
on to
Bigfoot,
Bigfoot.
thank you. So we buy him Bigfoot stuff all the time, but like only if it's not all the time. Like if we find something cool that we're like, yeah, dad's gonna like this, a beer bottle opener, or I found him a couple grandpa Sasquatch shirts that he loves.
Or
Um,
he finds himself tie-dyed hats.
or he finds himself 17 hats in one weekend. Ridiculous. Anyways, so last year, Kathy tagged me in a Facebook post that was a dude with a truck, and on the back of the truck was a tailgate cover that was a Sasquatch with like a raccoon in front of his
Well, he's laying down
yeah,
seductively, and his raccoon friend is just chilling with him.
covering any unmentionable parts that you wouldn't want mentioned. And so she tagged me in it last year, and I tagged my dad in it, and I was like, "Get ready, this is gonna be the next thing I buy you," or he said that to me in one of the 2 things.
I said,
Well,
Dad needs this.
something like that. And so we hadn't talked about it and it was just a joke. Well, then this year, my dad tagged me in the same post and said, "I still don't have it. I'm still waiting." And that, my friends, is a
Game,
dare.
set, match.
That is a dare. I'm going to take that dare on every single time. And I'm going to do it in a ridiculous way. So he was out of town. His truck was at home. And my dear husband put that decal that he had, tagged me in 2 years, that bad boy is on the back of his truck.
Thank goodness for Amazon Prime.
Thank goodness for Amazon Prime. So, my husband installed it on the back of his truck. He got home from wherever he was and pulled into the driveway, and first thing he saw was his truck. And I was like, I told my mom, this is gonna go one
I
of
feel
two
like you
ways.
warned him first, didn't you?
My mom warned him before they
Oh,
got in the driveway, but um, I was like, this is gonna go one of two ways. My dad is either gonna be pissed that we touched the back of his truck, or he's gonna think it's hilarious and laugh his butt off. And we like to call him chill nowadays. He's really chilled out. So I was
oh,
like, hopefully we get the chill dude and we don't have to worry. And
just tell him I did it. It's fine.
then he wouldn't care at all. He'd be like, oh, Kathy did it. That's fine. It's
It's fine.
beautiful. I love it. I'll keep it for always. But he thought it was hysterical. So thank
You
goodness
win.
we didn't get, I was gonna say that word, but I don't know if, we'd get flagged for saying that.
No, that's only on TikTok where your
Okay,
cat
well, I didn't
videos
want
get
him to murder me, so
banned.
I was just like, "Oh my gosh, I really hope he thinks it's as funny as I do." I thought it was hysterical. It was
This
a
isn't
great
a
time.
murder podcast.
What?
This isn't a murder
I
podcast.
know. Maybe one day it'll become that. I'm way too obsessed with murder
We'll have a
podcasts.
different channel for murders and mysteries.
Perfect. I think that's, like, a good tie-in, though, to why we're so interested in all this kind of stuff because like, about talking about getting
Oh,
growing and being better and stuff, because we're so fascinated by, like, the human mind and how like, at least my fascination with, like, true crime is, like, how does your brain think that much differently than everyone else's brain?
tell me how. Just
It's so
why?
crazy, and I think that's, like, part of this too. It's like trying to figure out your own brain. You're figuring out
Yeah,
this puzzle.
spicy brain goes to, well, how did you get to that answer? How did you get to that conclusion? Like, where did that come from?
It's so weird.
Whereas
Well,
other people just shut it down and we're like, no, tell me how.
I
Tell
need
me
to know
more.
how. It's gonna bother me for every day for the rest of my life until I know. So,
How's it? Or like we pick apart like true crime things. Like that's dumb, obvious.
well, duh, his shoe was outside the window. Obviously, it was him,
Clearly.
clearly. That is probably my biggest hobby, though, is listening to true crime anything and documentaries in general. I'm very obsessed with documentaries. It's probably a very unhealthy obsession. I don't know where it comes from, but I don't love, like, reading books like a documentary type, book that I would learn something. I don't wanna read a book I'm gonna learn something. I I want a book to shut down my brain. I want it to be entertainment, but documentaries, I will sit there all day, all night, watch a
Like,
documentary
no,
about
I will
anything. It
not.
doesn't matter what it is.
Yeah, it does. It does matter what it is.
For the most part, it doesn't. What documentary did you suggest that I did not watch?
It's not a specific one that I recommended to you, but if I say the word, you're gonna freak out again.
Oh my gosh. Okay, we're gonna give you an insight into my mind, okay?
I like the paranormal.
This is
I love a good conspiracy theory. I'm not a conspiracist. I people
Did
go
you
way
just
off
say I'm
the
not a
edge.
conspiracist?
Conspiracist. I'm sorry, there's plastic in my mouth. I can't speak correctly. Um, anyways,
Anyways,
I love a good conspiracy. Like
I do
I'm not
too.
I'm not a far like I don't some of those are really really far off. I'm not the crazy person, but I'll listen to you.
But I think it goes along the same thing. It's the same line of how did your mind get there? It fascinates me that
Right.
you put those things together in that way to make this make sense. Like,
Make it make sense.
make it
Yeah.
make sense.
They did make it make sense.
So, anyways, last night, we're going, like, raw into all of my deepest, darkest fears. Episode what, 4? Great. Fantastic. I have had a
You sent me a deep hole cave video today. It was pretty bad.
I have had an unreasonable fear of
Little green men.
little green men that come down in spaceships.
Don't say the A word.
I was little, and my family would joke, my brother and my mom and my dad, "Don't say the A word," because I'd
I
freak out.
honestly did not know this about you until yesterday, so don't yell at
Well, I
me.
don't want people to exploit my biggest fears in life.
Too late.
Andy already knows, and he tortures me with, like, horror film props all the time. Like, come on.
Yeah, I
Um,
can't do that. I can't do your clowns.
so last night
Yeah, Ashley and I learned something new about each
we
other last
did.
night.
Kathy doesn't like clowns. I'm afraid of the A word.
But I'm not, like, terrified of clowns. I just don't like them. Like, they're not fun. They're creepy and gross.
I don't know what my deal is. I just remember, like, in middle school, a bunch of boys talking on the bus about how, like, they come down in an aircraft and then they'll do experiments on your body and you'll wake up and you won't even have known it happened, and, like, for some reason, middle school Ashley was just like, "Oh my gosh, this is 100% fact." And I don't
How do
know.
you know it's not?
I
I'm
don't. That's
sorry. I woke. I'm sorry.
terrifying, I'm gonna cry.
Sorry.
I don't know why it scares me so much. It's so stupid. I will watch the show Ancient Aliens, but I don't like aliens. Like, I will watch the show because it's fascinating, some of the history and how, like, I'm very interested in Egypt. So, like,
So do you think it's real or not?
okay, I think it's like paranormal things, right? I think it's real, but I'm too afraid
Admit it.
to have it be proven real. So, like,
Got it.
I what?
Like, there's a ghost in my house, but I'm not gonna acknowledge it.
Correct. Like,
Somebody's banging pans and nobody's in the kitchen.
100.
Got it.
Yep, got it. I understand you're there, like,
Got
you do not need to show yourself to me. You are good where you are. I really am good. Have a great time. Please don't haunt me. Make yourself at home.
And I talked to the ghost in Ashley's house. It's fine. Everything's
Kathy talks to the ghosts here. That is a true story, and it's freaking creepy how much
okay.
stuff you know.
I will say though that it's not necessarily talking to the ghosts because there's a difference between ghosts and spirits, whatever. Technically, your house is not haunted. You don't actually have ghosts in your
Thank
house.
God. I would burn
Yeah,
it down.
I will. I communicate with the other side, but does not mean that they're physically in your house all the time.
Fantastic.
You're welcome.
Thank
Sorry.
you.
They
Um,
just come to visit,
I I dig it.
and I'm there.
That's because they know you'll give me the message.
This is true. It's
We had a
like
very healing conversation the other night after a
moth
podcast.
flame,
Yeah, yeah. Which amazes me. Sometimes the things you're like, "Hey,
which
some
is good for me because I'm not overly confident. Like I don't outwardly tell people, "Hey," like just weird things just come in my head and I don't know where they come from. But with you, like I'm comfortable enough to be like, "Hey, this is coming to me. I don't what does
does
this
this mean
mean?"
anything to you?"
Right.
And
Usually it does.
I'm just as weird as you, so I don't find it weird at all. I
Yeah.
just That's why we are 2 peas in a pod.
We found our weird tribe
We
and we
did.
accept each
We
other. And
did.
everyone should find somebody weird that they accept.
It's totally what we were talking about the other day, though, about how, like, once you find the people you can be your real self with and you can be a huge weirdo and you don't have to, like, try
Well,
and
everyone knows I'm weird now. So
it's okay. We have a podcast now. I think everyone knows we're both weird. But here's the thing, I'm pretty sure everyone listening is also very weird, and I think we need to normalize being a complete freakazoid, okay?
here's the thing with the dating world. You can't disclose these things and now everyone knows. Because I don't like dating the weird people, even though I am the weird person.
Okay,
Okay, you can
however,
match weirdnesses.
just hold on one moment.
Okay. I feel like I'm very open though to different people.
Okay, so I was gonna say you're pretty like open to meeting people. However, I would argue that meeting people, I mean, obviously I'm not meeting people because I'm married, but I would argue from the
I'm
stories.
meeting married people, not on purpose.
Well, okay, so that's the thing. Like there are married people on there. I have found out all of this information from all of my girlfriends that have done online dating or like
It's
dating through apps.
awful. It's awful.
You guys have the worst stories. Like I have told Andy before if anything happens between us or like he dies in a tragic hockey accident, like I'm done. That's it for me. I'm not dating again. I'm not finding anyone again. Like that sounds terrible to me.
Well, here's the thing. Like, I'm pretty open to like people's different niches and quirkiness. Like, I'm pretty open, but like there's just certain things I'm like, that's probably not for me, which I like feeling people out. And
I was just gonna make a joke and I'm not gonna do it.
do it.
I was
I'm the
gonna say
butt of
better
your
than
joke.
fueling people up, but our podcast is supposed to be
That's
clean.
more fun than sometimes. But no, like, so I met a few people with our not friend anymore when she was going through it. And like, she engaged with some pretty weird people. She's like, I think you would really like this person just because I like crystals and the occasional conspiracy theory. I'm not like that deep. Like, I don't consider myself like that. I don't even know how to explain it,
Like
but
that
like,
crunchy of a person, like
yeah, like people group me into these things, and I'm like, I'm not sitting in the basement getting high.
doing witchy things.
I'm not walking under the full moon in the middle of the forest.
What did
I'm
I have to ask you about the other day? Moon water?
I like what I like, and it's hard to explain. Like, I would be happy, like, with my herb garden, but I'm not, like, doing little potion witchy things.
I want to do potion witchy things.
I mean, I will, like, make natural, like, healing slot,
Spells
like,
and stuff. That's almost the same.
yeah. Feel like I generate more towards like Native American culture, um, healing, like of the earth versus um pagan teachings, which there's nothing wrong with it. I'm just not I just don't go like I'm not a spellcaster. I don't like I find it interesting, but that's not my forte. I'm
Well,
not
I think that's what makes your journey so cool and like the growth so cool because you kind of you're authentic and you take what you want out of all of these things, right? And it's because it means something to you or it makes you feel a certain way or you believe in it, but then it's authentic because you're taking the pieces you do believe in and you're leaving the pieces that you can respect them and appreciate them, but maybe that aren't so much you, right?
which is hard because I want to do the culty things, but I don't want to join the cult.
Yep. Please don't judge a cult. I don't have time to deal with like breaking you out of a cult right now. You know I've got
I
a lot on my
don't have
plate.
time and energy to be in a cult. I don't like anyone that much.
Ooh, maybe our Patreon when we make one day should be about cults because cults also fascinate me. How do we go
I
from
mean,
emotions to cults?
I don't know because we were talking about our weirdness.
Oh, okay.
Maybe that should be a bonus episode.
I
Or
feel like you can answer that to any question I ask you. How do we get from here to here? We're weird.
this is Kathy's personality. It's everywhere. I get along with everyone, and I enjoy all sorts of things, but
Shenanigans.
I don't really fit in anywhere.
I don't want to fit in a box. I want
I
to.
just need someone to love me and all of my weirdness exactly how I am.
I love you and all your weirdness. Love you.
That's not my best friend who is married.
Kathy and I joke that someday, well, I would love to manifest this into the universe because this is what I've wanted for a long time is I would love to buy a bunch of land and do like a homesteading type thing where, we can grow our own food. Well, okay, anyone other than me can grow their own food because I'm terrible with that. Like I'll eat the food you guys grow. I'll do something. I'll cook it, okay?
You can tend to the animals.
Okay, perfect. Like
Okay.
that is my dream and then
Just don't
have
name them.
what?
Just don't name them.
No, you can't eat them.
Some of them you have to eat.
Absolutely not. They're all pet animals.
Okay.
Um
Rachel, I need you. Rachel.
Rachel's just shaking her head at me. Never name them. Um, only name the dogs.
This one's chopped, this one's liver.
Oh no. No.
See, I can love an animal, but then respectfully be like, this is dinner.
But I can
Like,
respectfully eat a cheeseburger.
there's pet animals and there's food
I know they're
animals.
different.
Like, I can go in the woods and adore a baby deer and look at the deer and, like, oh, that's a really nice deer. But then I can appreciate someone who hunts the deer and gives the jerky. Like, ma'am. See, this is why I'm more Native American hunter gatherer. Appreciate the earth and the gifts, but don't
Oh,
sacrifice them.
I
That's a
appreciate
waste.
all of you. Oh my gosh. Oh, I don't even know.
And this derailed.
Yep, this derailed. This is us, guys. This is a normal conversation. I don't even think we finished the alien conversation, but it's fine.
Oh, you said that.
I know. I'm never gonna be able to sleep. Andy's gonna have to put on not Bambi because like that's sad and we just talked about deer. So like
um.
some
Oh,
sort of Disney movie and he cannot leave my side all night.
Moana. Moana.
That's a good idea. Yeah. Andy will fall asleep within 3 seconds, but it'll be great for me.
And then you'll recall our canoeing adventure because I was singing Moana to you the whole time. And then you'll laugh and then you'll wake him up.
Oh my gosh, so much fun.
Earthquake.
Oh my gosh, so much fun. All right.
So
Well,
sorry. So sorry.
it's okay.
You all had to sit through this. Good thing it was at the ending. You could just turn us off.
Me, whatever.
Are we signing off now?
I think we're signing off now. If there was anything specific you guys enjoyed us talking about and you'd like us to elaborate more on, let us know. We'd be more than happy to do that.
Except for aliens. You're not allowed to say
Except
that
for
word ever
no,
again.
everyone's gonna ask about aliens now. And I'm pretty upset that both of us even had notes going into this, and we still got so far off base.
I had no notes.
Oh, I thought you did too.
No. You had all the notes. I have the basic notes.
Got it.
I wasn't even in my head with this.
Fantastic.
Love you. This was an Ashley episode.
Sorry. Which is why it was
Anyway,
so off the rails.
if there's a specific thing that you would like us to um
Concentrate on.
navigate to,
Yeah.
yeah, or tools that you want our take on or how to handle something, whatever, or just talk to us, just be our friends. We're on Facebook at Empathetic Villains Podcast, and we're on Instagram. I think
Tickety
it's
talk.
just Empathetic Pod. Is it Pod?
I don't know.
Okay, well, we're
Like
on
the link
Instagram.
tree.
So sorry. Yeah, we have a link tree. That doesn't help if they can't find us.
It's true. Well, if they're listening to the episode, doesn't our link tree show up?
If you put it in the notes.
Oh man, we're so good at this.
Anyways, we're on Instagram and Facebook if you want to send us a message or, just be nice to us.
Please. We're emotional people.
We totally apologize for this 10-minute rant that we just went on.
No, we don't.
Okay, Ashley does it. You can find more of this when we start doing Cat and Ash Go on Adventures on our YouTube page, which we haven't done yet. but just keep your eye out because this is what it's gonna be.
Yeah, it's gonna be really fun.
Yeah. Anyways, we wish you all a supportive healing journey and thank you for joining us for the ride. Healing ain't easy.
No, it ain't. Okay, bye.
Bye.